And it's definitely a nod to the show, but it's certainly not a copy in any way, shape, or form of what they've done. But it's such a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It's just acknowledging that vibe and taking it one step further with the song.
We are here at the Audacy Soundspace at the Hard Rock Hotel, New York. This is your check-in with 98 degrees. Congratulations on all the things, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
man.
man.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So full circle, I'm always curious about this. You have some re-recordings on there. I know myself, anytime I'm looking back on past work, I want to just like rip it apart and completely revamp it and make it better in my mind. Yeah. Did you guys have the urge to do that?
We thought, that's
Probably had the
traditionally,
urge.
yeah, that's how we normally do things too. But for us, we wanted to kind of give back to the fans what they fell in love with in the beginning, and that was how those songs sounded. They sounded like that for a reason. Now, obviously, throughout the years, our voices have changed, and we've performed them so many times with new inflections on them, and we try to change them up. But I also remember being a fan and going and seeing concerts, and I would hate when the artist would do that.
Yes.
So we tried to keep the integrity of the originals, and it wasn't easy because times have changed, our voices have changed, production has changed, but we feel like we accomplished it on these.
So I know there's a lot of like legal caveats or whatever, but you now retain rights to these songs. But when you're going back to re-record them, especially with the instrumentals, like, can you even reference the Pro Tools files, or are you? So you're recreating from scratch, just because you don't have the plugins or anything.
100% have to start them from scratch.
Okay.
And that's the challenge, right? Vocally, it's a challenge because we don't sound, as Jeff said, we don't sound like we did back in 1997. But recreating that track and trying to match that track and find those sounds, and it's trickier than I think we thought it was going to be going into it. It was definitely a challenge to make it happen. But as Jeff said, we're really proud of how it came out and proud of how close we got to those originals.
So any professional in the industry, like an engineer, will be like, that snare, that's not the same snare.
Yeah, there's different distortion on that guitar pedal than there was. Yeah, I mean, because nobody wrote down like what the guitar was actually, set at back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, certain keyboard sounds aren't even made anymore, so you got to try and find a plug-in that sounds like it. So it was kind of a little bit of a honey expedition to try and find some of the sounds.
Yeah.
And then it was also kind of working with the mix engineer, trying to make sure that all the same hits are emphasized the same way that they were in the originals, and it was definitely a labor of love.
But like listening back to how I sounded on Invisible Man, which we recorded in 1997 or 1996. I mean, I listen to that now, and to your point, I'm like, why do I sound like that? Why did I sing? Why did I sing that way? And so, like, you can't go back and necessarily sound exactly like that again.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interpretation, but it's a very close interpretation.
So there's new and old on this album. Do you still feel like they mesh together well? Like, is there a cohesiveness you found throughout this album?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we certainly strive for that. I mean, we always, want to stay within what the 98 Degrees sound is, and I think we did that. I think, you also, as an artist, want to stretch yourself too. So with a song like Stranger Things Have Happened, it's a little bit different. It's a little more tempo, but we really fell in love with the song as soon as we heard it, and we were excited to record it, and we're really proud of it.
So I'm glad you brought up Stranger Things. I really love the song. Did you have to get any type of like approvals for that, or are we getting sued? Or
no, I mean, we're not going to get sued because it's not a sample, and it's not a sound that they created. It's a keyboard, sound.
Even the synth that they used, I like to say John Carpenter. That whole show is a throwback to the '80s, horror films. Yeah. So they actually use some of the same synth. It's like a Roland synth and a certain synth and a certain arpeggio that's just on a different setting. So you can't really copyright settings that are in a keyboard,
right?
So it's not exactly like the theme song at all.
But we do have an insider at Netflix, so we did.
Don't blame me.
Yeah. That's right.
If we do get sued, it's
we
Nick.
did get some assurances that we were in the clear on that, and it's definitely a nod to the show, but it's certainly not a copy in any way, shape, or form of what they've done. But it's such a cool vibe. It's just acknowledging that vibe and taking it one step further with the song.
Cool. You guys have been famous for so long now. How has your relationship with fame changed over the years? What does it mean to you now versus then? How do you react to it now?
I think, for at least me personally, the relationship isn't with Fame necessarily. It's with the fans. Fame. I'm not a big fan of Fame, but I am very appreciative of the fans that have given us all these wonderful moments and all these wonderful experiences that we've been able to accomplish. So I think it's kind of a love-hate relationship with at least for me personally, with fame and notoriety and things like that. But I think we understand that there's pros and cons to every situation.
Sure.
And you just try and maximize the pros and minimize the cons.
It's such a not normal thing. Like, have you found your normal within it, you feel like, though?
I think that we were blessed to come up in a time when there wasn't nearly as much access to acts as there is now. I don't envy the Justin Biebers of the world and the One Directions of the world and guys who came up in this social media landscape, because when we came up, we didn't have any of that. I think it would have changed our experience dramatically. So I think we're all grateful for the fact that we came up in a different time.
Yeah.
It's changed the way that everyone approaches this business. I think in the end, whatever fame we've gained through the years, as long as it's based on what we do and what we love, which is the music, then that's something that we're very proud of. But for us, it is all about the music, and it's about those fans that Drew referenced, and that's the reason we're still able to do this, 20 some years later, is because those fans, remain with us and supportive, and it's a cliche, but it's an absolutely true cliche that we can't do any of this without the fans and their support and their love for what we do. So it's really all about them.
When you guys were first getting started and, everything was basically taking a backseat to your career, can you remember, is there one milestone, a personal milestone that still haunts you to this day, something you missed family-wise because of your career?
I think we definitely all had to make sacrifices and miss things we would, moments we would have liked to have been there for, because we were so dedicated. I mean, you owed it to your bandmates to be all in, and just because they are all in. And so it's sort of like, you have to just make sacrifices and miss things that you wish you could have gone to. We've all missed weddings. We've all missed birthdays and things like that. But, at the same time, it's a trade-off. We get to live our dream.
And I don't think there was one moment, per se, as to maybe we could have had more fun. We were so dead set on, we're all type A guys, hardworking blue collar guys. We were just grinding. And I think, we didn't take it for granted, but I think we could have stepped back and taken ourselves a little less seriously and enjoyed the moment a little bit more. Kind of like we're doing now. Thank God we have another chance to do this, and it keeps going. But I think back then we were just really, anxious and excited to experience success and then stay there at the same time. Yeah. That maybe we could have relaxed a little bit more and taken in the moment and enjoyed it a little bit more,
Sure. When you guys were first coming out, you aligned yourself so much with the R&B side of the industry. Obviously, you signed with Motown. You toured with Janet. You worked with, Stevie Wonder. Mariah. Everyone. Initially, were you worried though that you would be embraced by the genre more internally in the industry, not so much the fans?
Well, I mean, when we first signed to Motown and Andre was there and we put our record together, they sent out our first single, Invisible Man, but didn't include a picture with it. So it was them trying to basically pull one over on R&B radio, be like, oh, listen to this great song, listen how great this song is, surprise, they're white. So it was kind of like those little things. Ultimately, it all started to blend together, and the boy band thing started ramping up, and then I think Motown was like, hold on a second, there's more money to be made over here. So then they started putting our picture on everything.
Yeah, I mean, pop music was so different. Back when we were first trying to get in the music business, it was like gangster rap, and it was grunge music.
Yeah.
And other than Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men, I mean, it was a pretty dark time in music. And then suddenly, when we came out, that's right when the beginning of pop music coming back.
Right.
It was the summer of the Spice Girls and Hanson, and all of a sudden, pop music became the thing again. But yeah, I think the initial vision that Motown had for us was to be like the white Jodeci, which is not something we ever, I think, felt fully comfortable with.
As you can tell, we are sort of,
so you
we have that
baby.
grit. Came straight out of the church, but we had to tailor it back a little.
It all worked out the way it was meant to. You know what I mean? Like it all kind of finds its way back to equilibrium, and you find your sweet spot, and you run with that. So I think all those experiences we went through, the effort to be a super urban group, I think all that, those are valuable moments in our lives and careers that kind of helped to shape us into who we are, ultimately as a group.
Audacy was actually in our very first recording session. Like, they were there in the studio and in the green room. It was intimidating.
Yeah, they charged their whole meal to our recoup account.
We're still recouping their
we're still paying off their
Louis the 13th bottle they were drinking as we were recording.
Oh my gosh. You know, what I feel like, I don't know if you guys thought about this, but I look at this as like a stamp of approval. Eminem never even took a shot at you guys, so maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but I feel like that he was like, you know what? These guys are students of R&B.
No, he did. He called us 98 Disease on the record. So.
Yeah. Okay.
We feel like it's an honor. We feel validated.
We're good with that. You make fun of NSYNC, you make fun of Backstreet Boys, you make fun of
when Blink, spoofed us in the video. It was like to me those are all signs of like validating signs. Like, okay, we think enough of what you guys are doing in your career that we're gonna spoof it in our video. And so those moments are all those are highlight moments for us.
But no matter what industry string was pulled, I can't imagine, a Babyface or whoever would gravitate towards you guys and work with you guys unless they fully believed in the talent,
Yeah, I think we were fortunate that we did find people that believed in us and supported us and helped bring out the best in us. And some of our producers really kind of were able to identify kind of what our sound was and make kind of the things that made us, the harmonies and, our love for acapella and things like that, and was able to kind of implement those into a pop, casing and make it, palatable for what radio was at the time. And we got some great songs along the way too. So that doesn't hurt.
Awesome. And I feel like this new album, before we wrap, has something for everyone, even if a child has never heard of 98 Degrees, some of the songs on there definitely cater to them. And of course, your
if a child's never heard of 98 Degrees, shame on their parents.
I say that all the time.
That's
the
child
parents
abuse.
are failing you.
We are. That's a disappointing situation.
Well, there is a bit of a handoff happening, though. We see it in concerts where moms will come with their 8, 9, 10-year-old daughters, and the daughters know every word, every song, and you can tell that there's a baton kind of being passed, which is very cool. Like to be able to sing and perform for that next generation of fans is an awesome thing we get to see.
Or initially, the mom's dragging along the kid, like, "Come on, you're coming," and by the end, they're like, "I love them."
It's been interesting to see that the younger fans are excited about it, and we're seeing it more with like millennials and Gen Zs as well.
Yeah.
I think that they're trying, Spotify and all the streamers are cool, but people are trying to get more involved with music. Hence, we put out some physical CDs and albums because younger generations are exploring their parents' music and want to have that physical CD and album experience like we got to enjoy when we were younger. So
totally awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thanks for having us, man. Great job.
Enjoy that video? See more interviews, more performances, and more of your favorite artists by subscribing and downloading the free Audacy app.